What's up, students, and welcome back to week 5 of It's Personal. In this series, It's Personal, we've been talking about the story of Zacchaeus and the interactions that Jesus had with Zacchaeus. And even though this is one of the shortest stories that we have in the Bible, this is such a powerful story because it reminds us of the nature of who Jesus is and what he can do for us. And when we know who Jesus is and what he can do for us, we can then turn around and be Jesus to other people. And that's an amazing thing, and that's what Jesus calls us to do. I once heard this phrase, and it goes like this: when it comes to people, either you believe that nobody can change or you believe anybody can change. And I think that's a really powerful statement. I think it's a really powerful way to think about people, because either you believe that people are just the way they are and they're never going to change, or you believe anybody can change at any time. And here's the thing about that. As followers of Jesus, we have to believe that anybody can change. At any time, any person can change and they can be made new in Jesus Christ. But even though we can say we believe people can change, sometimes we really don't act like it. We look at people's bad qualities, we look at their bad tendencies, and we look at the things that they do, and we just think they're never gonna change. And a lot of times we point fingers at people and say, you're just this or you're that, and we label people. But at the same time, sometimes we do that to ourselves as well. Sometimes we believe that I can't change, I can't get over this, I can't get over that. Maybe it's a circumstance, maybe it's a label that you have, and you feel like I can't get over these things. I made this mistake in my life and it's caused me to lose friends. I've had a falling out with my friends, and I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to be different, and I'm never gonna get better, and why do I have to mess everything up? Or maybe somebody's labeled you something. They've labeled you something negative, and you feel like I can never not be that. I can never not be a dork, a loser, a punk. I can never quit being those things. And you have these labels and these circumstances, and when we can't get over these things, we feel powerless. We feel like there's nothing I can do to fix me. There's nothing I can do to make myself better. It is what it is, and I am who I am, and it's always going to be this way. But this is another reason why we're looking at the story of Zacchaeus, because Jesus knew Zacchaeus was the worst of the worst. He was the chief tax collector. He was somebody that everybody hated, nobody liked him, and everybody just wanted to be away from Zacchaeus because he was a bad person, he was a terrible person. And Jesus, of all people, the person who probably shouldn't have been hanging out with Zacchaeus, said, I see something in this guy. Jesus said, I see something in this guy, and I want to let him know that. I want to go spend time with him, and I want to show him that he's valued, he's worthy, and I love him. It's in Luke 19, and this is after Jesus has called out Zacchaeus in the tree and said, come down, I want to spend time with you. And Jesus goes with him to Zacchaeus' house. And we're going to pick up in verse 8. It says, all the people saw this and began to mutter, he is gone to be the guest of a sinner. But Zacchaeus stood up and he said to the Lord, look, Lord, here and now I give half my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount. The cool thing about this is this action, this outward step, was a reflection of what was happening inside of Zacchaeus, the change that had happened inside of him, because Jesus saw who he was and said, you don't have to be this person. I've got a better way for you to live your life. Jesus saw who Zacchaeus could be, and it helped him have a different future. It changed the trajectory of his life. This can happen to us too. When someone says that they see something in you, when they say that I see who you can be, I see how you can change, and you can become the person that God created you to be, it can change your life. Jesus shows with his interaction with Zacchaeus that we don't have to have it all together to come to Jesus and get right with God. Because to get right with God, we just have to be real with him, we have to be open with him, and we have to be honest with him. It's personal because Jesus knows your potential. Jesus knows who you were created to be. He knows who you are right now, and he knows where you could be if you just take the step and follow him. Let's pick back up with Zacchaeus in verse 9. It says, today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. You see, Zacchaeus, at the beginning of the story, he's called sinner. He's called sinner. He's a terrible person. He's called this bad man who everybody hates and everybody dislikes, and they label him as sinner. And sinner back in these days was one of the worst things you could be called. It meant that you were unworthy, you were unloved, you were unholy, and you were somebody that God was looking down on. This phrase sinner was used to make people feel bad about themselves. And granted, at the end of the day, we're all sinners. We all fall short of the glory of God. We all make mistakes, as Paul said in the book of Romans, but God doesn't look down on us and call us sinner. He looks down on us and he calls us child. Jesus called Zacchaeus a son of Abraham, meaning that he truly was a follower of God. He truly was known and loved by God. And Jesus said, I came to seek and save the lost. I came to seek and save those of you that are hurting, those of you who are struggling with things, those of you who have terrible circumstance, that you have labels, that you have these things that are holding you down. Jesus said, I came for you. And the fact is that Jesus is always pursuing you, and he's always pursuing everybody around you. And sometimes we allow our circumstances, our addictions, our labels, our problems to keep us from Jesus. We allow this mountain to grow in front of us and between us and Jesus, and we say, I can't get over there. But the fact is, Jesus is saying, all you got to do is ask me to move this mountain, and he'll move it for you. We all have things that we struggle with in our life. We all have things that are weighing us down. We all have things that are causing us problems in our life and on our walk with Jesus. But the fact is all we have to do is put our eyes on Jesus and ask him for help. You can't battle your addiction on your own. You can't battle your circumstances on your own. You can't change your labels on your own, but guess who can? Jesus. He can do that for you. He can do that for me. He can do that for anybody. Because anybody can change, anybody can be made new in Jesus. In 2 Corinthians 5:17 it says, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone and the new is here. If you take a step to follow Jesus, if you say, I want this relationship with Jesus, and you give up trying to fight all your battles for yourself, and you just let him fight for you, he's gonna make you a new person. He's gonna change you. He might not necessarily change your circumstances right off the bat, but he will change you in the midst of your circumstances. He will make you the person that he knows you can be, and he will change you for your good and for his glory. Change can happen through the work of Jesus. Change only happens when we step into a relationship with Jesus and we trust Jesus and we let Jesus lead. When we try to force our hand, when we try to force our way of doing things, it's not going to work out. I guarantee you it's not going to work out. It might work out for a little bit, but then it's going to fall apart. But if you're leaning on Jesus, if you're following Jesus, if you're letting him lead you, things will work. Things will change for the better. Things will get better. And so there's a few things I want to leave you with before we go into our groups and before we have our time to talk with each other. There's a few things that I want you to take from this. Number one, believe that we can change. We have to believe that we can change. The things that are holding you back from Jesus, the things that are holding you back from changing and growing, those things can change if we just lean into Jesus. And if you don't have a relationship with Jesus, now's the time to start right now. You can make a decision today that you want to start following Jesus, doing things his way, and let him change you. And number two, we have to believe that others can change. Jesus can change you, but Jesus can also change anybody else. Anybody can change, anybody can grow closer to Jesus. And we have to start by letting Jesus change us to be who he knows that we can be, who he created us to be. We have to allow him to change us so that then we can partner with Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and we can go and help others meet him so that he can change them too. Because that's what it's all about. Being a follower of Jesus is letting him change you into the person that he wants you to be and knows you can be, knows what the potential that you have to be, and then help other people see that potential in themselves by helping them get to know Jesus. When Jesus treated Zacchaeus differently, he changed the way Zacchaeus saw himself and the way that everybody else saw Zacchaeus. He changed Zacchaeus' circumstances because he changed Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus became this person that nobody had ever seen him be before because of what Jesus did in his life. And Jesus offers you the exact same thing. If you haven't made the decision to follow Jesus, there's no better time than right now. You're going to go into your small groups and you can talk about what it means to follow Jesus. You can take that step to be baptized and follow Jesus. Let him change you from the inside out so that it can change your labels, it can change your eternity, it can change your future, and it can change who you are right now. If you don't like who you are, lean into Jesus. If you like who you are, still lean into Jesus, because Jesus can change the things in you that aren't right. He can change the things in you that are a little bit messed up and help you to be who he knows that you can be. And if you already know Jesus, that's awesome. But our step now, if we already know Jesus, if we're following him, if we're letting him change us, is to go tell other people about him and what he's done in your life. We need to make it personal with other people by letting Jesus change us and then going and helping other people know who Jesus is by introducing them to you and introducing them to Jesus so that he can change them too. Making change is a lot more likely when you have support. It's why we have our small groups. It's why we do this each and every week. We get together and we meet and we spend time in a small group, is to help each other grow closer to Jesus. And so as you go into small group, I want you guys to ask each other this question: how has Jesus changed you? And how can you tell other people about the change Jesus has made in your life? Have a great week.